Hi, folks. This is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. You know, I've never really talked to you about how I do these reports to you, how this all comes about. It's not like I have a script or anything like that, which I think most people, when they're doing radio spots, that's what they have to have. It's not me. It's not my personality. And when I come to you on the radio and talk like this, it's just as if we've just met in a store or along the river or someplace, and we're just having a conversation. And that's really how I try to do this. I try to make what I say come from my heart. And and I maybe sometimes it sounds all bungled up and so forth, but this means a lot to me. Being able to share the things that I've spent a lifetime in, I guess, gaining. I've spent my whole life in the outdoors, and just by some luck of God, I was given the opportunity to share my thoughts years and years ago when I started doing my fishing shows. And it became my life. And that's what I try to share with you. So today, I want to start this week by talking about some of the things that I see right now. As I drive along our roads and I look out to where water was just a little while ago, and the ice is forming. And it started to form. And people started to go out and fish through the ice. And then we had days and days of thaw, of rain, of temperatures as high as 50 degrees. And all this was affecting that ice that had started to form. And even now, through all of this, as I drive along Route 37, some of the favorite spots, I see people out on the water or out on the ice. And maybe I should say water, because the water is just underneath, and that ice is different now. Instead of being clear and becoming strong, it's punky looking, it's milky looking, and yet I still see people out there, and I'm blown away. And yet, if people watch me do some of the things I do in the summer, maybe they would be blown away. You know, safety is such a huge thing that we talk about, especially in the winter when we're talking about ice fishing. And I know that safety is paramount. It's to me the most important thing that I can tell you about. And yet, no matter how safe we try to be, we're always willing to take certain chances. I think that's life. I think if we love ice fishing so much, then we just can't wait to get out there on the ice. And again, I'm sort of backtracking here, and I'm going back to what I do in the summertime, in wading the Grass River. And I got to tell you, as you get older, when you do some of the things that you did when you were younger, there's a lot more risks. And I think what it must be like for the people at home that care about me to know when I go out there, I start a trek in the summertime down slippery rocks, and sometimes I'll go for a mile or two. I'm alone, and I think, okay, I've done this my whole life. I'm going to be safe. Just like people going out on the ice every week, they think they're going to be safe. And I think of the times when I've almost, I always fall, but almost really injured myself critically in falling. Before I started fishing that day, that wasn't on my mind. I didn't think, oh, gee, I'm going to fall today, and I could hurt myself desperately. What I think about is, okay, I've got a couple miles to go. I don't think there's going to be anybody there. I'm going to have it all to myself. And what am I going to use? And all these other things that come to mind, and I can't wait to get out there. I can't wait to start my favorite thing in my life, which is going fishing. And I think that's the way it is with so many of us, no matter what we do. If we love something, if we're a skier, we go up on top of that mountain, we start down. We're not thinking about, geez, I'm going to fall today and I'm going to break my leg. And I don't mean for this to be sarcastic or I'm not trying to make a joke out of anything. I'm trying to be real and tell you about how sometimes, no matter how much we preach safety, there's always a chance that something can happen. It's just part of being alive. And I think to my buddy Jigger Jim that I've gone to so many times for information on ice fishing, on summer fishing, it's been his life. And for years and years and years, every time I'd ask him about what's the ice fishing like this week, and he'd say, well, the first thing we got to talk about is the safety of the ice. The people got to know that the currents are shifting or whatever's happening. There's snow cover now that's that's putting pressure on that ice. Never once did he ever think that he was going to go through, and yet Jigger Jim almost lost his life a few years ago going through the ice in Black Lake. My point is that anything can happen. We have to take all the safety measures we can. We learn how to use a spud to tap the ice in front of us, to learn about the sounds that safe ice and unsafe ice make. We learn that when we first step onto the ice, it can be the most dangerous time because shoreline ice can shift overnight or in a period of time when we haven't been there. There's so many things that we can try to do. We can carry the right stuff with us. We can wear the right clothes, and yet still things can happen. So please forgive me for all the time that I take going on about safety, because I know that the biggest thrill for all of us is to be able to get out there and try to enjoy our sport. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.